Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dave Meyer with BusyWeb, and you're on with BusyWeb's Busy Webinar, What to Say and How to Say It, using words and images to craft your email messages. We're going to start off slowly here while we wait for people to join, and we have 40 people registered for today's event, so I'll give you a few moments. As we do get started, I wanted to run through a few things for you. First, if you have questions during the event, I'm going to share with you how to ask questions during the event via Twitter in just a moment. But if you would like to request the PowerPoint slides from today, you can send an email to dave@busyweb.com, or if you have questions or concerns, you can also try us at 612-4BUSY-O, 424-9990, and send us a note that way. If you need to get a hold of us, that's the best way to do it. And also, if you would like to ask a question during the event and would like it to be answered live, the best way to do that is to use Twitter. We have a hashtag going today, BusyWebinar. And if you simply scroll down on the page that you're browsing from, if you click on this Busy Webinar link, it's going to open up in Twitter, and you can browse and connect that way. So just give us a note, give us a holler if you'd like, and you can see what's going on here. Let me hit refresh quickly just to make sure that we don't have any new questions online right now. Looks like we're fantastic. So if you do have a question, again, just use the hashtag #BusyWebinar, and I'll be checking that a couple times during the event today. Don't lose hope. If we don't get a chance to answer your question, we will take that question and I'll reach out to you privately if we can't get to it during the event. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can just send me a note at dave@busyweb.com if you do have a specific question that you don't want published to the world. So just a couple brief things. And again, we've got 10 folks on already. We're looking at about 35 to 40 people, I believe, that were registered. So I'm giving folks a couple of seconds to get on live. But if you're watching this after the event, you can send us a note or give us a tweet, and we're always watching that hashtag. But here's a couple of seconds about who BusyWeb is and what we do. First, BusyWeb's a digital marketing agency located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're just a little bit north of the city, and we take care of digital marketing for our clients. What that means is we do email marketing with Constant Contact. We do social media marketing, content writing and creation, Google AdWords, search engine optimization, and of course, website design. We specialize in WordPress-powered web design, and with our WordPress-powered websites, when you publish to a BusyWeb website, that act of publishing can automatically post all of your content across all of your social media networks. So we're talking about content today, of course, so we're going to focus on what you can do to get as much bang for your buck with the things that you write. And certainly one of the ways to do that is to make sure that your content goes out wherever people might find you. So be sure to get a hold of us at the end of this. I'm going to give you a couple of links and options, but connect up with us if you would like help or advice in how to make that go. All right. So as you know, generally, what I say when I mean marketing, it's something specific, important to connect with. Our definition of marketing has three parts. First, you design an audience, a group of people that you want to target. Next, you reach out to them with a message that's specific to that audience. And finally, you elicit a physical and measurable response that ties to the results that you want and need for your business. What kind of results are we talking about? Well, really, there's a bunch of them, but the big things might be clicks or downloads, visits to your store or office, reservations and appointments, or calls. Not all of these are going to come back to your specific business, but it's all probably at the end of the day going to come back to building revenue and or donations for your business. We're trying to get physical, tangible responses. So the content that you're connecting with is very important because that's how people register or how they find you online. So email content especially is important because content is really the currency of the web. When Google shows content or when you search in the search bar on your favorite web browser, that's all related to the content that people that have supplied that information are supplying to Google. And so without content, you really have no way to get found on the web. The key here is to be the source that your readers know, like, and trust. When people think about your specific area of expertise, you want to be the person or the business that people think about first. The only way to do that is to have great content, great posts, great emails, great social media outreach, great content on your website, the text and the videos and the imagery on your site that let people know that they can trust you and that engages them and draws them in. You might want to answer your customers' questions in order to get some of that in because they're already telling you what they're interested in. If you have a frequently asked questions part of your website, that's a great first step for connecting up and reaching them. Now let's tackle the big question. What kind of content should you use in your emails? So as we talk about this, I'm going to make it kind of general, but I'm going to speak specifically about emails because this is one of the questions that we get most often when we start doing email marketing for our clients. So a great email consists of a bunch of big things, but it all kind of wraps down to words, images, and videos that you use in email campaigns designed to attract, convert, and retain an audience. When you're sending out an email to the people on your contact list, you want to make sure it's relevant and interesting and includes a clear call to action or a response that you're seeking to solicit from your readers, whether that's buying a product, taking your advice, signing up for services, stopping in today, donating to your nonprofit, answering a survey, or really whatever you need them to do. Here's an example of an email of a company called Great Vacation Retreats. At the top of the message, they have a great picture that prominently features their brand, a text block that announces the deal, and a paragraph that describes it along with a link that's a call to action for readers to view their available vacation rentals. Even if they didn't list the individual rentals in the email, they'd have more than enough information that communicates the action they want their audience to take. Book a rental in Kauai. As a bonus, the approach Great Vacation Retreats took with this email is inherently mobile friendly. It's a single column template, there's not too much text, and it's not too long. This email will look great no matter where the reader opens it, on a mobile or on their desktop. And that's important because more than half of people are opening their emails primarily on mobile devices. More than half of email is now opened on mobile devices versus desktop computers. Remember, when you're thinking of content that you'll create from scratch, you are not writing for yourself. You're writing for your audience. So make your messages relevant, short, and focused. Your email shouldn't be telling recipients every single thing that you do, and it shouldn't include extraneous information. You can make relevant information to your audience by thinking about the conversations you've had with your clients, customers, or members. After an interaction, you may want to jot some ideas down that can help you expand on a topic. I've mentioned the relevance a few times now, and here's why it's important that you include content that's for your audience and not yourself. 38% of email recipients will unsubscribe if they think the content in your email is boring or irrelevant. And when a person unsubscribes, you won't be able to communicate with them again. 32% will also send irrelevant content to their spam folder, which could impact how email providers like Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, or any of those will sort your future messages. If you've been categorized as a spam source enough, your emails and perhaps your website simply won't show up because you'll be blocked by that ISP or internet service provider. So let's get back to what we're actually going to talk about today. First, we're going to talk about creating content, how you'll come up with ideas for words, images, and calls to action that we'll use in your email marketing. Next, we'll talk about curating content, how to find and share content from other sources that you can use in your marketing. Next, we'll talk about extending your reach beyond your email using social media. And then we'll finally talk about how you can get started developing content ideas for your own organization. Let's get right to it. I do want to take one quick temperature check as we get into Create. Make sure we don't have any questions right now. So I'm going to hit refresh on here. And we have everybody that looks like it was registered is now on. So welcome to everyone. And don't be shy about asking us questions. Again, the hashtag is #BusyWebinar on Twitter. So if you do have a question or a comment that you would like to register, some examples or experience that you've enjoyed or that has worked for you and your business, would love for you to interact with us on Twitter by just using the #BusyWebinar, the hashtag there. And I'll check that occasionally during the event today. All right, so as we talk about creating content, you need to think about what you create and what you write about in your emails. This is one of the biggest questions and hurdles that all of our clients encounter when they set out to create emails. The good news is that you know your organization better than anyone, and there's a world of ideas out there for you. First and above all else, just write about what you know that your clients don't know. There's an opportunity to share your knowledge and raise your profile as an interesting organization and expert in your field. Here are some types of content that you can share with your audience. Take a second to look at what's on screen right now and think of some of the ways you can explore these ideas with content about your business. Let's talk about a few of these. First, we'll talk offerings. If you have a new product, you can write paragraphs describing about what it does and use photos or video to share quick product demonstrations or tutorials. If you have an event coming up, send out all the details in a short email, including a link to register to the event. Updates. Do you have a new location? If you hired a new employee, or if you have a new well-known employee retiring, send out a biography and a photo to your customers and clients. Updates can go out in the form of newsletters or even press releases. Perhaps you're a nonprofit and you received a big grant. That's a perfect reason to send out an email update. If you had a recent event, send out a survey asking recipients how it went, or send an email to share photos of that event. Education. If you're an expert in your field, write about what you know that your audience doesn't. And here's the trick about being an expert in your field. You are an expert in your field because you know more than your clients do. This is your opportunity to weigh in with your perspective on a study or a news story. If you sell a product, you can make a video that demonstrates how to use it. You can also share your know-how. Let's say you own a landscaping company. You can send out an email early in the spring and lay out a good planting schedule for your clients. And finally, entertainment. Don't be afraid to show your fun side. If you've seen a funny YouTube video that relates to your field, or if you've heard of an interesting, funny, or inspiring quote that you want to share, maybe you and your employees have made a cool behind-the-scenes video. That's something that could really show off your environment and your personality. As we think about content, the next question that I get all the time is how much content is enough? Think about it. How often do you look forward to reading a long, detailed email from a business? Not very often, right? You're looking for something short, concise, and easy to read. You just want the news, you want the details of the deal or the sale, and if there's any action that you want or need to take. That's what you should think about when you create your own emails. When it comes to email content, less is more. Always. There's no rule that says that your newsletter needs to have 3 articles, 3 pictures, and 3 links. One thing is plenty. There's actually a Constant Contact customer whose newsletter is called One Thing. He did it to make it easy on himself, and it works really well. People can absorb it, and he's not under the gun to come up with a bunch of content to fill it. We did a study of our customers and found that the best practice is to limit yourself to 20 lines of text and 3 or fewer images. Just like you, your audience is busy. You don't need to worry about sending a ton of information every time. And as a matter of fact, more information often results in less interaction. Research shows that one link gets the best click-through rate, or the action being taken, or the likelihood that an action will be taken. If you want your audience to take an action, use one link to make that clear. 2 links is okay, but once you get to 3 links, click-through rate really starts to decline. Anything higher than 5 links means that people are less likely to click anywhere in your email because they're just going to get overwhelmed and say, I don't even know where to go, so they just click off or hit the delete button. For mobile readers, make sure that you're keeping your messages short and your calls to action above the fold or on that first screen that they see when they click on your email. Half of emails read are now constructed or consumed on mobile devices. So think about people in the line at the checkout looking through your email. Are they likely to be able to get enough information as they spend that 15 seconds tops on your message? If you're looking for an easy way to do this, think about putting structure around the content that you're trying to build. You can use outlines to help you further focus your ideas and organize the sections of your email. Any text you'll write yourself, any photos or videos you want to use, and any content from outside sources that you want to share. We'll talk about content curation in a few minutes. Jot down a list of topics that come up in conversation with your customers, members, clients, volunteers, or donors, and use those to spark ideas for email campaigns. If you get 5 questions from your clients, that's 5 separate email topics that you can build on. Show your expertise in your field. Become a knowledgeable resource for your audience, and they will look forward to emails from you. And make sure that your articles reflect your brand. This is easy to do with email tools like Constant Contact. I'm not getting into email design today, but you can visit my website for great design tips and tricks to make your emails look visually fantastic. We've had this webinar before on how to write and get great content, but really it needs to include your logo, your colors, and just be simple so that it can be readable on any device. Let's talk about turning your interactions with your customers, clients, members, or supporters into content from your email. Think for a second about the last interaction you had with someone at your organization. What questions did a customer or client have? What information are people requesting about your nonprofit? You can turn an answer to their questions into an email. Here are some great examples of questions that we've seen. One easy way to practice this in real life is to create 2 columns in a spreadsheet or a document, on a piece of paper, or with the questions you regularly get on the left. In the right column, write down a way you can turn those answers into questions into an email full of fresh, relevant content. So if you're a plumber and a client asks, how do I ensure my pipes won't burst? That turns into 5 ways to protect your pipes from freezing this winter. Do I get to deduct mileage if I drive from work to home each day? Answers to your top 3 mileage deduction questions. What's a simple way to pick the right wine? Red or white? 5 simple wine pairing tips. And how do I get more people to show up at my events? 10 ways to sell more tickets for your next event. I've talked about this in other webinars, but if you're looking for great examples of great subject lines for emails, go into like Mashable or BuzzFeed or really any place that gets a lot of traffic. All of these places are generating their revenue off of clicks on their content. And so it's been kind of slighted as clickbait in the past, but the kind of stuff like she found a cat in the alleyway behind her house. You won't believe what happens next. That kind of stuff. You want to use alliteration and other forms of engaging content. Stand out from the crowd a little bit. It's the difference between November newsletter, which I almost fell asleep saying, and we need 3 hammers for our house build on Tuesday. It gets right to the point. It gives you easy questions. It gives you an easy action, and it's engaging. It's just the kind of content that's easy to find, easy to connect with, and it kind of gets right to the point right away. And that leads me to a separate topic. I want to show you the difference between a regular email from your Outlook, Gmail, or Yahoo account and one sent through an email service provider like Constant Contact. An email from a service provider looks better and gets you noticed. You can use it to feature your brand's logo and colors, include graphics that'll capture your reader's attention, and all of this, including the graphics, comprises the email's content. With a combination of text and great images or video, you'll get through to your audience much better. And from a purely legal and practical perspective, an email service provider will help you send your messages and get to the people that you're trying to reach. If you send out an email with all kinds of links and without any unsubscribes and it has the wrong kind of content in it, if enough people mark that as spam, then your ISP or that ISP might block all emails from your domain, and or if your domain is on the same server, the IP address as your website, people that are on that ISP won't be able to see your website or anything that you do. So that's probably the most practical part. There's also the Can Spam Act, and basically what you need to do to comply with Can Spam is have an unsubscribe link, have a physical address on every email, and use a real person's name as far as the sender, and have that be something that you can actually interact with. So makes it super, super easy if you're using an email tool like Constant Contact. But make sure that you're at least taking those steps to make sure that your content gets seen. The one on the left is a snooze fest. The one on the right is easy, it's engaging, and it doesn't overwhelm people with too much information. Remember that email images are content too. 90% of the information processed by your brain is visual content. Visual content like photos, videos, graphics, word images, all can make a huge impact in your emails. You can use photos to show off your products or shots from a recent event, and you can link to videos to show your organization in action or a product demo. Word images, a brief phrase, statistic, or quote over a background image are all great ways to share information in an eye-catching way. For more information on these, click back through our Busy Webinar archive because I talked about these all within the past month. If you want to communicate through images, make sure that your images are clickable. So when you click on an image, so for example, on our Kauai vacation special, making this image clickable right here, ideally I'd like to see a button with click here to view as well. You want to give people easy targets for their fingers when they're on their itty-bitty phones. So try to avoid giving too many choices in your campaign, make it easy to click on the images in your site, and focus on content that engages people to make it more interesting, more arresting, more fun, so that people can easily connect with the content that you're trying to convey. So when you're using images in your marketing, you're faced with the task of creating the content, deciding what images are best, and determining their context and story around them. That's a lot to think about, and you're probably wondering where to begin. Well, here's some direction. Images can be created around your business, your environment, and what's around you, your expertise, or themes that you decide your audience is going to love. You don't have to create a product to include visual content in your emails. If you had a new employee, feature their photo with a caption explaining who they are and what they're bringing to your business. If you're a nonprofit, share photos of a recent event or a graphic or something tied to what you tangibly do in your organization. When you're working with photos, you need to be sure about a couple of things. First, you need to know that they can't be too huge and that there's some real issues with copyrights and the danger that you might get a nice big invoice from Getty Images, which has happened to one of my clients before, for $1,500 because they used a picture of a hamster in a wheel that they found off Google Images. Do not, do not go to Google and search for images and try to use those images on your website. Doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit, doesn't matter if you're the nicest person in the world. Stock photo companies that sell imagery, that's their entire job, is to get paid for those images. So they have algorithms out there that look for any of their image libraries, and they just send an email with an invoice and or a lawsuit if they see you working with their images. So make sure that you're using an image that's properly sized. Avoid copyright issues by using one of the tools that I'm linking to here, whether it's Big Stock Photo, Stock Vault, freeimages.com. My personal favorite is PhotoPin. So you might want to check out PHOTOPIN as a great source of open source imagery, and just try those out to start. Oops. Video is also a great way to engage with your audience. People prefer watching a video to reading long web pages full of text. So when you're using a video, make sure that you mention in your subject line that your email includes your video so your readers know about it right away. But make sure that the length of the video is within 90 seconds. That's the point at which 58% of viewers will stop watching. You can make video work for your business. Use it to show product demos, customer testimonials, promotional material, or user-generated content. We're talking about email today, but video is becoming incredibly prominent on social media. 84% of consumers have liked videos from companies in their social media news feeds. If you embed or email a video link, you can also repurpose that content on your social media platforms so that audience can watch and share. The example here is a great way to use video. The Pajama program sent this email out with a link to a video thanking their donors. Just again, remember to keep your videos short. And if you're going to send stuff, think about where your client might be viewing that content. With emails, it's a little easier because it tends to be more private, but especially if you're trying to embed video that you intend to use on social media, like Facebook in particular, as people are scrolling through their newsfeed, video that's loaded into your newsfeed, into your page, will automatically start playing. So you need to think about how to engage people within 1 second on that spot. So if you have a beautifully curated video that you've created, spent a lot of money on, and it has this dark or this fade from black that takes like 2 or 3 seconds where you have James Earl Jones talking over the background, all people are going to see is a black box when they're scrolling through their timeline on Facebook. So if you're going to have anything that's audible that you need to convey, like if you have a narrator, make sure that you include closed captioning on your video and make sure that you get right to the point right away, because you have to think about how that's engaging. So it needs to really be engaging and exciting and interesting in the first couple of seconds. Otherwise, people are just going to keep streaming by in their newsfeed. So let's talk now about curating information. We talked about creating. I want to check back, just make sure we don't have any questions on here. Full house today on the event. So thank you all very much for hanging out with us today. But just double checking. Looks like we don't have any questions. Again, if you do have a question, you can send that to Busy Webinar. But would love to connect up with you if you have questions, or if you'd like to ask anything about digital marketing, that's how to reach us. So curating is the art of, whoa, that was weird. Curating is the art of grabbing content from other sources. So think about a curator at an art museum. That person uses their expertise to collect and present artwork from many different sources, and they arrange them in a way that's educational and organized. They're not responsible for painting anything on the canvas. Your curated content could be a link to a news article related to your organization with a brief paragraph including your perspective. The example on screen is of a cycling company sharing their favorite headlines and cycling news for a weekly newsletter. All they had to do was write a brief intro and then link to the articles. Your audience will come to rely on you as an expert in your field. Let's say you're on an animal shelter and you come across an article about coyotes in the area. You can introduce that link by giving some helpful tips for pet owners to keep their dogs and cats safe. Or maybe you own a restaurant, or a new food trend has been talked about in national media. You can link to a video from a TV station or tell your contacts how you've added some trendy items to your menu. So where to find all of this content? Well, there's a lot of places. Of course, one of the easiest places is just to check the regional and local news. If you've been mentioned, or maybe you have something to say about goings on in your community, that's a great way to connect and engage. A lot of news sites offer their recent content for free. Just make sure that if you link to content on a news site, it's not something you need a subscription to read. You can read blogs related to your field. One way to easily gather lots of long blog posts is through Feedly, and that's Feedly. I talk about finding content in a past Busy webinar from about a month ago, so just check that in our archives if you're interested in that. Or you can also go to Alltop, Alltop, to get access to all the top blogs in about everything under the sun, no matter what your market vertical is or your area of expertise or interest. Alltop probably has a few dozen websites that you can browse and peruse and get feeds from in order to get content from experts in your field. You can also follow others on social media. There's a world of almost infinite possibilities there. Let's go back to that animal shelter example. They might want to follow other shelters, the ASPCA, pet retailers, or other animal advocacy groups, and they can share content from those sources. You can set up Google Alerts. I'm not going to go into detail on Google Alerts because if you're interested, just Google how to use Google Alerts. But generally, you go to alerts.google.com, you enter in any topic under the sun, and whenever something's posted on Google Alerts, or on Google, period, you're going to get an email with an alert about that content. Subscribing to others' email lists. This is a great way to get ideas for content and see what other people are sharing. In particular, think about email lists of your best referral partnerships. So if you're an orthodontist, for example, your referral partner is probably a dentist. So subscribe to your dentist's email newsletter and then share content that might directly relate to decision points that your clients might be making. And finally, you can always provide a link, or you need to provide links to the original author or source. If you grab content from somewhere and present it at your own, there's a word for that, right? It's called plagiarism. It's illegal and it's just bad practice. So make sure that you always provide a credit saying where you got that content from, and you also should really provide a link to the original source of the content. Content that you found elsewhere that you're curating, you should never repurpose the entire article or the entire piece of content, unless, of course, it's linking to a video. But always link back to where you found that content. And if you have an article that you're linking to, just grab a paragraph and then do what I call the Oreo post. And so you're going to give a brief introduction to the content that you found. You'll give them a little bit of that nice creamy center by giving them a paragraph from that article, and then give them a reason why they should click and the link back. That's the other cookie. So give them extra context on why this is interesting, relevant, or helpful. If you're sharing content that's created by others, you can get creative and share via email, other social media, and have others create it for you. You can do this behind the scenes by asking for videos or photos from your employees. So this is an example from the Avenue Gallery showing one of its employees loaning a painting to be transported. You can also use client or customer testimonials. There's a few other ways that you can approach these. You can ask a client to share their story on a video or write a paragraph about their expertise. If you have a place on your website for reviews, go ahead and pull content right from those reviews. You can also create user-generated content. This Facebook post from Waukegan Falls RV Park shares photos from a customer who documented her recent visit. One way to inspire user-generated content is to create a hashtag. A hashtag is a word or phrase beginning with a pound sign or hash sign that creates a link connecting to other people. With that hashtag, you can let people create content, use that content elsewhere, and you can just connect with them in conversation. So curating, we've got. Now let's see how to extend that content beyond. You need to share your content in order to have it grow and to have it get the most traction possible. You can extend your reach as much as possible using, emails. You can connect up with social media via some constant contact tools, and I'll share that in just a moment. But the key is to make it easy for people that visit your content or that read your content or your newsletter and email to share it on different social platforms, and then also take your own content and repurpose it yourself. When you're thinking about content to use on social media, you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can use content you've already sent in your emails and break it into smaller pieces of social media content. This isn't going to translate into a lot of extra work for you. You're already building out content for the future as you focus on emails. For example, let's say you're a marketing consultant with a business that runs a lot of events, and you've sent an email to those clients with 4 tips about selling more tickets for those events. We'll call that your original email. Next, let's quickly think of a few ways to extend that content by expanding on each tip as its very own social media post. If you provide a tip on sending invitations in advance, that would easily turn into a post on when to send your event invitations. If you're hanging flyers in your store, you could turn that into a great infographic on effective flyer design that you share across all your social networks. If you're looking for advice to post events on Facebook, you could expand that into a blog post on promoting events on Facebook that you can share across all your networks. Or a tip on special pricing for VIPs could be repurposed into 5 tweets spread across a week about things VIPs want. Here's an example from a company, the Grafton Inn in Vermont, Repurposing Content. They use this image of a porch swing in their email, which announced the summer activities that are going on at the inn. They repurposed that photo on Facebook to show on their weekly schedule, and on Instagram, they shared it with their followers using a cute caption. You can do the same thing. Take a tip, a quote, an image, or anything that your audience will find interesting and share it on whatever social media networks that you use. Now, do keep a few things in mind. First, change the content a little bit for each network. The fun part about some of the things that BusyWeb does with our websites is that we build our content so that when you publish on your website automatically takes that content and posts it to other social media networks and mildly adjusts it to match the needs of that network. Facebook is going to be more visual, include a little bit more explanatory text. LinkedIn is going to be just the business. Twitter will be usually just the headline with a couple extra snippets and a link. So you can let a tool like your website, if done correctly, take some of this heavy lifting for you. You don't need to worry about being repetitive. People are following you because they like you, and they might miss your post on Facebook but catch it later on Pinterest. Or they might follow you on Pinterest and not Facebook, so you need to make sure you're covering all those places that people might be seeing your content. Finally, while we're talking about using multiple social networks, keep in mind that you don't have to use all of them for your business. Just choose the ones that are right for you and your audience. It's better to focus on a couple networks and do a good job with them than to have a bunch that you don't update at all. When it comes to extending your reach, just make sure that you're meeting your audience where they live. Email is a great place to start, but you can reach more people by sharing your email content on all of your social platforms. Think of it this way. There's probably some overlap between your email contact list and your followers on social media, but those groups aren't likely to be identical. Also, what your followers do on social media, their followers see. If someone likes or comments on your post on Facebook, all of their friends will see that and see your company's name. Marketing on social media tends to be less expensive than traditional advertising, so if cost is an issue, you'll get more ROI by going first through email and subsequently through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. Each has its own typical audience and design process, and you can be laser focused on who you reach, in particular on Facebook, LinkedIn, or other tools like that. To be clear, email is a part of social media. And if you're doing it right, keeping your messages short and making the action or response obvious and simple, information that's valuable, you will grow your business. The best part of this is if you're a Constant Contact customer, we make sharing your emails on social media very easy. If you're using Constant Contact, add the share bar to the top of your emails. This allows your readers to post a link to your email on their social media profiles, and then add social media buttons that link to your business's social profiles. These buttons are a nice visual reminder for them to click and follow you online. You can remind audience to share your promotions, ask them to like them on Facebook, retweet on Twitter, or pin on Pinterest. And your audience has a lot of influence via word of mouth, and you can get your promotions in front of more people, their friends and family, if they help spread the word for you. As it says on the slide, emails with social media links or social proof increase click-through rates by 158%. And there's also a tool built right into Constant Contact that you can use to do this. The social share tool allows people to quickly share all the content that they've shared on email to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn with suggested post messages, images, and the best time to schedule posts based on when your social audience is most active. This tool also makes it really easy to plan social posts for an email with a monthly calendar. So let's dig into next steps. Finally, remember when you're thinking about content that you'll create from scratch, you are not writing for yourself. You're writing for your audience. Use links to your audience when you want to tell them where you want them to go, and make your messages relevant, short, and focused with the call to action very clear. It can be helpful for a calendar to schedule emails and social media posts ahead of time. Keep that running list of topics that come up in your organization and plan out your publishing schedule in whatever way works best for you. There's no hard and fast rules about how you should schedule. Just make sure whatever you do is realistic for you to follow, whether you use an Outlook calendar, a Google Doc spreadsheet, a notes app on your mobile device, or a handwritten schedule. If you're using email marketing services like Constant Contact, you can also track which types of content get the most interactions and use that information as a guide for future emails. The more you measure, the more successful you'll be. Look at what's getting results and do more of that, and take what's not working and adjust it for better results. When you're looking at creating content, here's 3 easy steps. In the beginning of the presentation, I said that email content boils down to a picture, a paragraph, and a call to action. You can use this as a really basic outline to create content for any subject you can think of. First, take the last question you answered for a customer, client, member, donor, or volunteer, and develop an email around it using a picture, a paragraph, and a call to action. Let's go back to our first example, the vacations in Hawaii, and say our customer question is, what offers are available for renting in Kauai? First, the picture. Remember, 90% of information absorbed by the brain is visual, so how you can illustrate that subject will capture your reader's attention. Don't forget, you can use stock photography, and you don't need to be selling a product to use visuals. This photo of a beautiful seaside cliff in Hawaii grabs the reader and makes them want to look into it and see more in person. Next, what is it that you need to write? Respond to that last question you were asked. Your paragraph can be just a few words, including a link, a longer explanation about the subject, or tips to answer the question in a few steps. In this example, the paragraph explains that rentals are available and that every third night is free. Finally, you need a call to action, what you actually want your audience to do in reaction to your email. Come to your business for a consultation, buy a product, stop by, register for an event, or donate. Make sure your call to action is prominent and clear. Here, the call to action is a link where readers can go to the vacation company's website and see and hopefully reserve their available rentals in Kauai. Finally, I want to give you a quick offer that we get and that's happening for the rest of the year. If you would like to try email marketing with Constant Contact, we have a $5 per month deal, unlimited list size for $5 a month. So if you want to spend $15 over the next 3 months for email, just go to the following link, constantcontact.com/event-meyer. Make sure to mention that you did this or that you attended this event when you go through the referral, because that's the only way to get this. You need to physically attend an event by BusyWeb in order to get this deal. If you'd like more resources, go to busyweb.com/events for a list of all of the other webinars that I referenced today, whether it's content delivery, images, finding better ways to use and engage with social media. We've got about 200 videos on our events list now from our Busy Webinar archives. If you'd like a 60-day free trial and don't want to enter in your credit card at all, you can also do that at busyweb.com/cc. And if you'd like information about open rates, what typical times to send and or content to create per industry, you can go to blogs.constantcontact.com/library for all of that. Finally, if you found this information interesting and would like to keep up with us, just send a text message to Busy. Watch your autocorrect. It's BIZZY to 22828. What's going to happen there is you send the text message, send Busy to 22828. You'll get a quick text message back saying, please enter your email. And then we will get you onto our updates list to give you easy access to tips and tricks and upcoming events. This is not a special offer thing. This is not something that we're going to use to sell, and we never share any of our content with anyone else. This is just a way for you to keep up with upcoming events. We have some really cool things coming up through the end of the year, and I'd love for you to stay in touch, and I'd love to see you at as many of our Busy webinars as possible. As I promised, here's a final way to get a hold of us. If you found this content interesting and would like a copy of the slideshow for yourself, just send an email to dave@busyweb.com, ask for that PowerPoint slide deck, and I'll send it right to you. You can also give us a call at 612-4BUSY-O, 424-9990, and connect, ask anything that you want, or if you want some help with your marketing, let us know. Which reminds me, one last thing. If you go to busyweb.com/buzz, enter in your website, a keyword that you'd like to be found for, and your name and information, we will send you back immediately, no clicks, no anything else, we'll send you back immediately a 10-page report that outlines what you're doing well in your digital marketing and some tips for improvement. You'll have a 2-page or so checklist of things that you can improve. That's completely free to you. Would love for you to check it out. And if you want us to get a hold of you after that, by all means, we can do that for you. But this is not a push. This is an offer if you want to take advantage of it. Again, I am Dave Meyer at BusyWeb. If you would like any more information on any of this stuff, here's my contact information. But until then, please remember that we'd love to work with you any way we can. I give you a bunch of links and things to consider. So if you want more details, just go ahead and get a hold of us at dave@busyweb.com. Or if I could ask one final thing, if you enjoyed this event, please either give us a quick tweet at the hashtag BusyWebinar and say thanks for the event and give us a little testimonial, or even better, if you wouldn't mind going to facebook.com/busyweb and giving us a review. Let us know what you thought, especially if it was 5 stars. We'd love to get that rating and review, and what you liked about today's event, because we try to make these as useful as possible for you. Remember, at BusyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. And thank you all so very much for your time. Have a great week.